Um, okay. Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Actually, thank you for being here. Um, we are now on Roman numeral two, um, letter B, and we are going through a list of melechot. So really, letter one, I guess, mixed in with little two and three. We talked about Deraita, we talked about Derabanan, Torah prohibitions, rabbinic extensions of those Torah prohibitions, as well as rabbinic legislation, additional Shabbat restrictions. So talking about all of them, and um, now I've been going through the list of all the actual 39 categories of labor. Okay, so I thought we're not going to be able to offer like detailed like guidance for each one of them, but there are really good there are really good books on like Shabbat. Okay, particularly I think Rav Melamed's Laws of Shabbat, Hilchot Shabbat. Is that what you have? Is that Shabbat one there?
Yeah.
Volume one, volume two. It should be two volume, right? Volume one. So it's a two volume. Shabbat book is two volume. Oh, you got one too. Volume two. There you are. Great. Excellent. Excellent. Okay. I promise I don't get a commission. Um, because the books are available online free. Okay. So, right. I told you. Yeah. I think I've shared. I thought, impossible I didn't share that. So, okay. Yes. They're available. So there are multiple places online for free, but they're on Safaria. And
I went on Safari. I cannot find Melamed in English there.
all the ones that have English translations are there in English translations, which is like not all of them, but it's maybe a third of the volumes are in English. So including Shabbat is in English. Everyone that's been in English is in English in Safaria. And the ones that are just in Hebrew, if it's on digital, you can just paste it into an AI and get a translation in 10 seconds. Yeah, okay. So it's all there. It's all there. But the hard copies are not, it's good to have. You buy the hard copies too. But I was just saying, like the whole. I don't. Again, I spent I spent years like learning how to you know getting the literacy to like read things in Hebrew, and then I spent hours and hours and hours translating things back in English to teach, and now totally use like I don't like if all you need is right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's digital. It's digital. Like if you find it in a Hebrew, because yeah. So cut and paste, copy paste into chat. You say, please translate this into English for me, and there you go. Okay. But the ones that are in English, that the ones that have been professionally translated into English, Safari has the English already, and that includes Hilchot Shabbat, includes Hilchot Pesach, includes Zmanim, it includes like a bunch of them are already in English. I don't think they're going to keep translating to English because it's a useless, like, you know what I mean? Like it's just, I don't know. Like I'm not sure they're going to pay to have a translator do it anymore since it's so you can get instant translations now. But yeah, yes, yes, yeah, I know. Oh yes, yes, yeah, 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 yeah,
I have
yeah.
a general
Oh
question.
sure, yeah, yeah.
The Durabanan, so the rabbinic prohibitions, are those just sort of extensions of each of the 39 areas of work, or are they also doing anything fundamentally different?
There are many kinds of Durabanans when it comes to Shabbat, and I think the earliest stages of Halachic history, I'm not even sure these categories were clearly defined. There's just like things you can't do on Shabbat, and then the Amoraim, and that they sort of were really good at like classifying and sorting, organizing. But the answer to your question, there are many kinds of so some Durabanans are it's the forbidden thing, but it doesn't meet one of the requirements to like the okay? Like you do it with your left hand, right? That makes it a drabanan instantly, right? Because the right has to be with your right hand, malachat machshav. It has to be a considered, thoughtful, productive action. So, you do it in a way that's impermanent. You do it with your left hand. You do it in a way for, without full intention or with an alternative intention, right? Like those are all, make it a, you catch the animal, not because you want the animal, because you don't want it to do something else. You do something with your left hand in an awkward or unusual way. You do something in a way that's temporary. You do less than the requisite quantity. You carry less than the forbidden amount of carrying. You minimal threshold for the biblical prohibition. You um, write only one letter instead of two letters. Or all these things, right? All the write in English instead of Hebrew. All these things lower the threshold from Jeriach Shabbat. So it's not it's like it's a just a not quite an extension. It's just well, it's an extension or it's a broader range of prohibitions beyond the biblical thing. Doesn't match the definition. The other types of rabbanans are just actual legislation of things that were not included in the in the Torah never prohibited, but the rabbis thought like riding a horse. Okay, that's a drabanan, pure drabanan. It's not an extension of anything. It's just a pure drabanan. The 39 categories of labor, though, don't exhaust the biblical prohibitions because they're just 39 archetypes of prohibited labor. Like each of them, or many of them, have derivatives. So cooking or baking is the Torah prohibition, but boiling, roasting, right, are also Torah prohibitions. So even though baking is the one that's right, okay, or we said before that what was it was dash threshing is the archetype, but milking a cow is a derivative of threshing, even though they're both biblical prohibitions. The only time it really matters, I mean, the 39 is helpful for like organizing them and remembering them and like keeping track of them, and for it's also helpful for uh, how many korbanot you have to, how many sacrifices you have to, sin offerings you bring if you unintentionally violate them, depending on how many of these articles. So it's like that's not particularly practical, but it's more of an organizing system for keeping track of them. But there are biblical prohibitions that are not, as well, even if they're not in those 30, one of those 39 archetypes. So all the biblical prohibitions are derivatives of those 39 broader categories. Another, yeah, follow question, good. Okay. So let's go through the 39, okay? Last time we did the series of melachot that culminate in baking. So it's from the preparing the planting through baking. I also want it's another really great book which is worth borrowing or owning a copy of. It's like a children's book on Hilchot Shabbat, but it's really quite good because it has but it's just, you don't know what the difference between sifting and threshing and winnowing and right, or what or the various weaving melechot. It's very good. It's good for that. Okay, and it has for each melacha, it shows you here's the like somebody in olden times doing the melacha. I mean, it has like all the various contemporary applications of that same melacha, nice illustrations. It gives you little symbols, what's biblically prohibited, what's rabbinically prohibited, what's permissible, even though you might think it's prohibited. So if you guys it for all the 39, it's a very, very cool book. So this is like, okay, the more sophisticated version of that is this this is like a 4-volume book. Looks like somebody borrowed one of them. Which also goes through all 39 categories of labor and uh, like very detailed explanations of for each one of them, what's permitted, forbidden, and very contemporary applications. Very, very extensive footnotes in Hebrew, but the English. So it's worth. I don't know. It's 4 volumes. It's not light reading, but you can do. It's not beach reading, but I'd say it's. I've read big chunks of it, and it's like it's not hard. It's like they really he really tries to make it easy. So I would if you're in the library, pick it up. It's like really it's pretty good, and it's worth owning if you can get a hold of a copy. Yeah, for sure.
I was gifted a Gemara chapter or book on Shabbat.
Hmm.
Does that essentially cover everything that is in this
No.
organized? No, okay.
No, man, much of it,
Mhm.
but the Gemara is not. The Gemara is very associative in its organizational structure, and so part of the task of writing halachic codes is to take sort of the discursive, associative discussions in the Talmud and like organize them by topic. So most of the laws of Shabbat are in Masechet Shabbat, but some of them extend into Masechet Eruvin, and some of them are at least so there might be some others that are scattered elsewhere in the Talmud. Shabbat is probably more organized in Masechet Shabbat than many other topics. So if you learn, it's actually just a very long tractate, but if you were to learn Masechet Shabbat cover to cover, you get a pretty good sense of all the topics. You wouldn't know what to do because much of like the actual application is developed in the centuries since the closure of the Talmud, but you at least know like the topics and the terms, many of the important terms. So it's worthy endeavor for sure. Okay. But not the most efficient way to get practical guidance on any area of halacha, right? Because the Gemara is just so topic to topic, and discussions you don't know how they end, and especially in Hilchot Shabbat, the Rishon in the Middle Ages, they really did a very important work of kind of distilling the principles the abstract legal principles that sort of emerge from the case studies that the Talmud discusses. So, okay, so just review. We'll review the ones that we just leading up to baking. I think we listed. I think there may have been. Maybe I forgot one. We finished. I know. So I'm going to say it again. Okay, just maybe you can. Choresh is plowing. Okay, which includes anything you do to the ground before you plant something in it to get the ground ready for planting. So even fertilizing, right? But fertilizing before you've planted something is choresh because it's all about making the soil more receptive for growth. If you drag a heavy object which is going to make a groove, that could be a violation of plowing. Next, zoreah, planting, okay, which could, including that would be, you throw seeds on the ground, planting a tree, washing your hands over plants, right? We talked about that, okay. Pruning could be plant. If you prune, that's a good one. If you cut a branch off a tree, not because you want the branch, because you want the tree to grow better, that's actually a violation of planting because you're promoting growth of the tree. It's like watering the tree. Okay. Placing flowering buds into water, maybe. Okay. Okay. Next.
Pardon, what about marking out the area that you're going to plant? Is that also then prohibited?
Marking it how? What does that
In
mean?
other words,
You want a vegetable garden like in the corner.
put posts in and, and maybe cord from post to post or something.
So those might be prohibited on other grounds, but I don't think you're not preparing the soil, you're not promoting growth. So I don't think it's either of these two malachot. Be something else, I'm sure. Okay. Kotzer is harvesting, cutting something growing from mowing the lawn, or not mowing the lawn. Actually, mowing the lawn is rabbinically prohibited. Why is mowing the lawn rabbinically prohibited? Because no. That's the engine is probably a biblical prohibition. Let's say it's some. And the engine is forget about the engine. Listen to the engine. It's a push hand mower. No engine. Why is it rabbinic and not biblical to mow your lawn?
You don't want the grass.
Yes, you don't want the grass. Kotzer, the archetypical act of harvesting is you're cutting the thing that you want. Okay? When you mow the lawn, you don't want, right? Good. Okay. Now, if it's going to promote growth, maybe that's biblically planting, maybe like pruning a tree. But I don't know I'm not sure that's what you're doing when you mow the lawn. In any event, you can't mow the lawn. But picking an apple, that would be biblical prohibition of. Oh, we forgot one last time. Ma'amer is stacking up the grain into heaps in the field. That's called ma'amer. That's rare to. I don't know. They say, stringing figs, they say is,
Putting in a grain silo. I mean, that's the modern,
yeah. So piling up produce is like, so stringing figs, piling scattered fruit in the orchard. Okay. That's ma'amer. Okay. So it doesn't come up too often, but that's okay. Next, dash threshing. We talked about that, which includes stomping on grapes, milking, like squeezing juice from grapes or any fruit. Removing peas from an inedible pea pod, wringing out liquid absorbed in in a towel or tablecloth, removing the liquid from the thing it was absorbed in is like threshing, milking a cow, any animal. Okay. Okay. Zora is winnowing, so it's using the wind to separate the wanted from the unwanted objects. Doesn't really apply much in our context, but okay, if you have like some nutshells, that's the example they give here. You blow away, your shells off of your nuts. That would be zora, that'd be winnowing. Okay, using the wind to remove unwanted from wanted. Borer is selecting, separating the desirable items from the undesirable ones, or vice versa, in a mixture. So that again, that's many extensive, contemporary thing. The fly goes in your soup, removing watermelon seeds from the watermelon. How do you take the bones from a fish? All sort of complicated, maybe Jews invented gefilte fish so they wouldn't run afoul of the prohibition of removing bones from fish. Okay. Okay. Can't take out all right. So some bad, maybe using a slotted spoon to take vegetables from your soup could be a problem. Okay. So Bora is worth focusing on because it comes up a lot in our kitchens and our lives. Okay. Next, token grinding. So I can't grind anything. Pepper mill, salt mill, grating potatoes, grating cheese, maybe grinding. Merakit is sifting with a strainer, so you can't sift things with a strainer. Okay. Lash is kneading, making dough, so you can't make dough. Okay, great, or make mud or anything like that. And then oath is baking, and subcategory of baking would be also again roasting or boiling or other things like that. Melting candles is baking, and lots of rules about serving warm food on Shabbat. We'll have like a special lesson on that, I think, because it's complicated and comes up every Shabbat. Because you're supposed to have warm food on Shabbat, so we have to learn how to do it. Okay. Okay, so that's the first line of the malachot. 39 malachot are sort of organized by like the materials of daily life and how to obtain them and create them. Um, so this first series ends up in, which is interesting, like theory of labor, right? A theory of labor organized around the products that we need. Okay, so first string gets us to cooked food. Next starts with shearing wool off a sheep. Included in that would be cutting fingernails. If you use cutting hair, obviously.
Is this where like brushing your hair would also apply?
So brushing hair could be a problem if you are definitely going, if the nature of the brush or comb is such that you will definitely pull out hair, then that's a problem. So maybe a soft brush would be okay. But a hard brush that's going to pull out hair would be a problem. Even though you don't intend to pull out the hair, you don't want the hair, you don't intend to, but that's like, so maybe it's not too right. So maybe it's a psik resha, it's an obvious, necessary, automatic outcome of this action. I just want to comb my hair, but actually I'm pulling out hair as I do that. Okay, after you've cut the fleece off the sheep, the next thing you do to it is you know what you do next to the fleece? Yeah, good. Very good, excellent. Because you looked ahead and just took a Shabbos. Oh, good. Okay, I thought you were like an expert in sheep shearing. I don't know. Come from Virginia, don't you? No. You come from Virginia, don't you?
Yeah.
But we don't know sheep down there? No. Okay. Fine. Okay. Sorry. So after you did you grow up among sheep?
Big farm family. So
Oh.
sheep, goats,
Amazing.
dogs, chickens.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you. Okay.
An expert here.
All right, so
By no means.
well, after you shear the fleece, you have to clean it. You have to wash it. Okay, you have to bleach it in a labin. That is a very common, contemporary application. Include like laundering. Okay, you can't wash any. Yeah, that would be, and even hanging up like clothes to dry, washing things that are dirty, soaking your clothing. Okay. If you have something like dry, yeah, you can like sort of rinse leather surfaces with water and like you can wash, like if you have like you can wipe down a countertop, you can wipe down your table. If you have like something dry and crusty on your clothing, you can sort of brush it off, but you can't like a stain or dirt that's like in fabric to like wash it out, that's can't do it. So you can't put stain remover on. You can't pre-treat, your clothing on Shabbat. So that's this.
Grape juice on your shirt. There you go.
There you go. So I get another shirt. I don't know. Wear a bib. Okay.
Can you?
The what? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's the same. That's totally, yeah. It's your detergent that's removing the, yeah.
So if you like get a blood stain, you can't put it in cold water and leave it there.
No, that is a absolutely Torah application of cleaning this fleece. Yeah, absolutely. No laundry. Next. Oh yeah, sure.
You claim that 'cause I've seen this where you would wash dishes with gloves. Is that a thing?
Rubber gloves.
As opposed to what? Like
Yeah.
many people use gloves to wash dishes.
Still wash dishes.
So the issue with washing, two issues with washing dishes, one that we've seen already actually. One issue with dishes is hot water. Can't use almost in most cases you can't use hot water on Shabbat because that's cooking the water. You're heating when you use hot water, like the boiler turns on, right? You turn the tap, cold water goes into your boiler, and gets heated. So that is cooking the water, that's heating the water. You can't use almost in most cases you can't use hot water from your tap on Shabbat. So it's not so easy always to do dishes in cold water, but so often I actually usually don't try and I just wait until Shabbat is over because I just don't feel I can get dishes really clean with cold water. Or it's much harder. But the other issue is you can't use a sponge on Shabbat because this but squeezing a sponge is what? Squeezing a sponge?
Which like ringing.
Yeah, yeah. It's which is a derivative of threshing. Okay, it's like threshing. Okay, it's like the cow walks stomping on your stalks of wheat. Okay, it's like squeezing a sponge. Okay, you're removing something from where it was. Okay,
You can, if you don't squeeze.
you can't. How you use a sponge without squeeze? That's how the sponge works. They squeeze. Yeah.
It's all white.
You could use the sponge without squeezing.
The way the sponge works, the pressure is applied to the way. What you can use, you can use a brush that has bristles that's on a stick. That's sufficient. That way, it's sufficiently removed from a sponge. The stick is removing it, and there's nothing absorbent. And you can even buy special Shabbos sponges, which are not, they're like kind of like plastic Brillo pads or something. They don't work very well, but it's a way to get some like agitation and friction to like get some food off your plates. So those do it. It's non-absorb, not a towel, no towel, no towel, no towel. You can buy a Shabbos sponge, which is a special product made under rabbinic supervision, which is like a kind of not spongy. It's sort of like just like a little ball of plastic friction. But I like to use bristle brushes on sticks for Shabbat Yom. Okay, because there's nothing absorbed. It's just bristles, and you can use this to scrub with some soap and your cold water. Okay.
Just soak my dishes.
You can soak your dishes in cold water, yeah. Yeah.
Can you scrape the dishes?
Yeah, because malaben is only laundering fabric. Good question. After you've cleaned your fabric, it's menafetz, which is cooking, combing the fabric, and that's I don't know, that doesn't seem to be. I think there are too many contemporary applications of that. Yeah, just raking wool. Okay, yeah, you keep cotton, flax, like you can't, comb fabric, like as this process is getting it ready to be processed. Next is tovea. The wool is put into a vat of dye to change its color or to reinforce its color. And tovea is anything that gives a color to something else. So that means you can't dye fabric, you can't paint, right? Either watercolors or like using a spray paint to paint a piece of furniture. You can't use most forms of makeup on Shabbat, which is basically painting your face. Uh, can't paint a can't paint with a brush. Can't draw with a marker, crayon, anything. Right, go. That's all Savea. Basically, there's certain kinds of makeup they say is Shabbat appropriate makeup. I don't know anything about why they say that or how, but
Station. I looked into this. I don't really make it, but I was curious in general.
Yeah.
Say for the recording, for posterity, please.
A liquid foundation is literally like essentially putting on a mask, right? It's that color that's staying on top of your face, but the issue that is that like it still sinks in, like you have
It
a
still sinks
moisturizer that
in,
goes
yeah.
down past. They said that powdered foundation was okay, like a talcum powder, whether it's white or clear, that would be okay because essentially like it's just sitting on the surface and it's not actually sinking down. Like no lip glosses or lipstick, or specifically lip glosses that have a shine to them, but ones that don't were okay. Like no eye makeup.
Yeah, but a lot of
I would assume chapstick is okay if it doesn't have
chapstick
like
has
the shimmer.
another issue. Chapstick the issue is
Yeah,
I haven't gotten there yet. Is same with using problem with chapstick is the same problem as using bar soap, which is where changing the shape of a solid object. We'll get there. We haven't gotten there yet. Okay. Brushing teeth. Some people are strict, some people are lenient. The issue with brushing teeth is also this changing the shape of a solid. You take the toothpaste and changing the shape, and the brushing. Some people are strict. So the Rachel was lenient with toothbrushing. I use a regular. So there are Shabbos toothbrushes and Shabbos toothpaste you can find from supermarkets. I use regular toothpaste and regular toothbrushes. So but
What kind
you know.
of toothpaste? That effectively.
Some people think some people think the brush is the problem. Some people think the toothpaste is the problem. So I think neither is a problem. So I brush my teeth with regular toothpaste, but they sell Shabbos toothpaste, which is more liquidy, less okay, and they I guess brushes which are less sponge-like. But I don't think toothbrushes are really sponge-like. So yeah,
Some of the makeup that like stays on.
yeah. So I don't really know much about makeup. I will say I know some Jewish women will put makeup on Friday, and it'll and depends on the makeup, depends on how much they put on. But so some women put on makeup before Shabbat.
You know, like whatever, sort of this mascara or something like that, that you put it on Friday afternoon, and as much that stays, stays.
Yeah.
You sleep wrong, you end up looking like an impressionist painting.
Yeah, I guess.
Smears.
Well, definitely some mascara on your pillowcase.
Why? Which one with perfume? It's a spray. The problem with the makeup is not the pressing. What's the problem with the makeup? I just told you. What was the problem with the makeup?
Good change.
What's the no? What are you not spraying anything? No, we're not changing anything with makeup. With perfume.
It's the same, like perfume, if you press, like it's the same.
It's not a motor. It's just a spray. It's a liquid. It's a liquid in the bottle. It's a liquid on your body. That's a spray. And it's not coloring. It's not changing the color. It's just makeup. Perfume is fine. So is spray deodorant. It's all fine because it's a liquid before. It's a liquid after. It doesn't change the color. It doesn't change the form or the shape of a solid object. So totally, it's not no sponge, no absorbing. You're not extracting something from where it was absorbed, or it's in a liquid in a can, liquid in a jar, in a bottle, and then liquid is sprayed on your body. That's so deodorant and perfume is totally fine. The problem with the makeup is the coloring per se, right? The problem with the lip balm is the changing the shape of a solid, which is also what some people think is the problem with toothpaste, and they use liquid toothpaste. I think those who are leaning on toothpaste say it was a liquid to begin with, right? You take a tube of toothpaste, you pour it out, it's not going to retain its shape. It's going to kind of splat on the plate. So it was just a viscous liquid, but it was a liquid to begin with. That would be the grounds for leniency on toothpaste. Yeah.
Vaseline.
So
Chapstick.
yeah, so if it's a solid, then it's a problem. If it's a liquid, it's okay. And there are some who are more strict and some who are more lenient about defining solid versus liquid. I think like if you plop it on a plate, does it stay or does it kind of like, right? So that would be yeah. But so bar soap is a solid. You're changing the shape by rubbing it. Liquid soap is I think okay, but some of the liquid soaps are, I don't know. I think most liquid soaps, I think that to me is if it's as viscous as liquid soap, it's okay to use. That would be my basic baseline. There's some art. There you can find some good articles written on makeup on Shabbat. Actually, I'm happy to share with you if this interests you. You can follow. Okay, I may forget. So send me an email. I'll try to track it down and send you. Yeah, more. Yeah.
So specifically like suntan lotion, so like sunscreen. Okay, so like you aren't allowed to use would that be considered a liquid? But it's also like brushing your teeth. It's something that you do. It's routine kind of thing. So if you do sunscreen every single day, would that be something that would?
Issue is not the routine is not relevant for the toothbrushing or the sunscreen. The issue for the toothpaste is that we say it's liquid before, liquid after. You're not changing the shape of the solid, and so sunscreen. The issue, I think if it's absorbed, sunscreen, I think it's fine. If it's absorbed in your skin, it's okay. Is that?
It's just the bottom, I guess.
Yeah,
It's liquid. It's liquid before. It's liquid. Yeah. Spray, I think is fine. Spray should be fine. It's liquid before, liquid after. And the lotion too. It's like liquid before. You're not changing the shape of a solid. It's not like a.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because it's changing shape.
Yeah.
If you cut your, and like, so you can't put like ointment.
Why can't you put ointment on?
Because you change the shape of the thing.
Of a solid. What's the solid? Ointment is a solid. Is the ointment the antibacterial? If the antibacterial cream is the same viscosity as liquid soap or toothpaste or all these things I just said are fine, then it should be fine too, right? It's not more.
But so basically, if it's
The container actually no. I don't think squeezing them out. I don't think that would be. That's not changing the shape. the fact you squeeze the metal tube, I don't think is the problem. It's the actual substance itself. Like if like a bar of soap is what, okay, rubbing down a bar of soap, you're changing its shape. It's like carving an item, right? So you're rubbing down the bar of soap, its shape is changing. I don't think that applies for any type of cream or ointments.
No, like it's
Because it's liquid before, it's liquid after. It's not not changing the shape of a solid.
okay.
No, no,
I do have a question.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do, on the topic of sunscreen and
Yeah.
aerosols and propellants in them, I do notice that some sunscreens that are spray based, I don't know what it's the propellant or something like that, the container becomes cooler. It becomes like very noticeably like cooler just by, yeah, I'm thinking that might be a chemical reaction to it.
Yeah, chemical reaction that doesn't create heat, I don't think is a problem actually. But but it's interesting. If I learn something more about that, I'll let you. I don't think it's a problem.
Okay.
But it's changing.
I don't think so. If I learn, I don't think.
It might be a physics effect, like with expansion, there's cooling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Which would not right. That's something like yes. I had that thought, but I couldn't. Yes. Okay, so that's a good one. Okay, so Tzavea, coloring. That's a good one. Okay, I think that's. You can if you can change if you change the color of a food because it tastes better, that's fine. So you can add ketchup to your French fries, even though the French fries are right. That's permissible because you're doing it not to color the French fries, you're doing it because you want ketchup on your French fries. Okay. Um, some people though are careful not to add grape juice to their seltzer. They add seltzer to their grape juice because they don't want to like dye the seltzer. But the truth is, if it's a taste, I think it's probably okay.
Now, when you chew food, so that's an exception to the prohibition of changing the form of a solid.
Yes, eating is yes. Anything, yes. Derek, yes, you're allowed to eat, and so things that are due in the context of eating are not considered. Yeah, very good. Yeah, yeah. Okay, next. After your wool is cleaned, combed, and dyed, you have to spin the wool. So that I don't know, spinning. So I don't think there's any other thing other than spinning. I think that's pretty. That's all that. Nothing else. After you have your yarn that you've spun, the next is mesach, which is to thread the loom. Okay, that's also spreading the loom. Nothing else. Then oseshne batirin is to put two threads through the rings in the harnesses of your loom. Okay, again, like very specific weaving malacha that doesn't have many other or any other practical limitation. And then the final one is the actual weaving of the oreg, the actual weaving of the fabric, like putting the what I forget even those words are in English, the thing through the thing, like okay,
Work with the work.
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems to me that knitting would be a problem.
Yeah, knitting. What's the problem with knitting? Knitting, that's a really
First of all, you have to cast the yarn onto.
yeah. Knitting is a really interesting. Knitting is absolutely forbidden, but no, it's hard. It's not so simple to determine. Knitting did not exist in the time of the Mishnah and the Talmud. It was it was invented in the Middle Ages. You could say maybe we'll see that tying a knot could be is a problem, but there's no knot when you knit. And we see weaving is a problem, but knitting is not weaving. So it's not obviously actually what the problem with knitting is, but you can't win knitting on Shabbos. Okay. But it's a really interesting question because it's not as obvious what it would be. And then after you have done your knitting, then you cut it off the cloth. But say that's like cutting your fabric, your woven fabric off the loom is a malach. It's called potsea. Okay, now so that is like one series of like malachot. Next, kosher is making a permanent knot, a professional permanent knot is and then matzah, then untying a permanent knot, like a permanent professional knot. Okay, these are two different malachot, and contemporary applications would be like tying professional permanent knots, tying things that are tying shoelaces is okay, not professional knot, not permanent. Tying a necktie is probably okay because it's not permanent and not professional.
Well, I don't
I want
understand
someone
what
to
you mean by permanent and professional in this context.
like sort of sailor's knots that you have to all those like the Boy Scout knots that you do to like for real like kind of you have to like be taught how to do, and it's like particular like tasks and things like that. So that necktie also be taught, but it's not like a working knot that like, kind of really keeps two things together like in a very serious, permanent way. You can actually pull it out pretty easily. And you have to pull it. It'll ruin the tie if you leave it in. Although I think some people are strict about neckties and they'll just loosen it and tighten it rather than undo it on Shabbat. But,
Well, I mean, if you tie a bowline that's been called the king of knots, it is quite effective, but it's also engineered to be very easy to untie.
oh, interesting, interesting. Yeah, so it's a good. But it's permanent until you
Until you do that.
yeah. So. That seems like it'll be a problem on Shabbat. I think generally, like the things that we do as part of like temporary routine life that isn't particularly skilled to like do and is meant and intended to, to sort of come undone on its own over the course of time, like shoelaces, even like I think a double knot in your shoelaces because it's gonna come out also on its own eventually. As exactly, neckties. I think this like someone told me like a double Windsor, whatever, you can't tie in child. So I have no idea what that is, but it's like a fancy necktie, like kind of thing that I never learned how to do. But so yeah. Yeah.
Forbidden, right?
We'll get there. We haven't let's wait till we get there, okay? We haven't gotten yet. Okay. Kosher. Yeah. So short version is we don't use umbrellas on Shabbat. It's not obvious, not super obvious why, but we don't use umbrellas on Shabbat. Good. Yeah, raincoats. Okay. Kosher matzah. So okay, I think anything else that would be you're allowed to cut string that's securing food, like your roast or something, cut those neck. That's not untying. Shoelaces are okay. Any knot that you can't tie on Shabbat, you can't untie on Shabbat. Fine. Okay. Next, tofer. Tofer is sewing two materials to one another, and contemporary applications would be anything that is, well, obviously sewing of any kind, but also gluing two things together or taping two things together, um, pulling a thread to tighten stitches.
Stapling.
Stapling, good.
Also changes the form of stapling.
No, it just changes the shape that it's the orientation. I don't think it's the problem with staple is the connecting two things. So some things that might be okay that are like tofu would be, I don't know, like I think temporary. I looked, I should look into this again. It's been years since I looked into it, and then I think the first time I looked into it, I was strict. I was very strict, and then I looked into it again. I thought, I don't know, is it really? I don't know, like putting stickers that are temporary stickers, right? Like a name tag. And so you have the piece of paper, you stick it to your shirt. It's like you're sewing the paper to your shirt. I think though the intention is to take it off an hour later after the event that you're at. So that's certainly not a biblical like permanent connection. But if you don't touch it, it'll stay. So I don't know. I think like certainly putting a sticker onto like playing with stick like putting permanent stickers onto like a book is a problem. I think it's okay to like play with magnets. Like there are all these like kids Shabbos games, like they're designed for kids to bring to shul, where it's like they're putting magnets, like little airplanes in an airport or something, and they're playing with the little magnets and it keeps them quiet at shul. I think that's okay because it's not a permanent connection. It's not meant to be. You can move it around it's like not an actual connection. So I don't know, somewhere in between is like putting a sticker on fabric. So next, korea is tearing. So ripping apart material for a useful purpose. So that is, I want a piece of paper, I'll tear it from my notebook. That would be tearing. Maybe a book has 2 pages. The book wasn't. It was really, they didn't. All the pages weren't attached when the book was printed, so tearing those maybe. Um, we also the practice is not to tear toilet paper, even though it's not quite. You don't really care about the length in the same way. You're not saving the toilet paper, obviously, that you tear off. It's not like preserving it. So yeah, it doesn't like fully meet like but the pretty universal practice observed is not to tear toilet paper in Shabbat. So people use tissues or pre-cut toilet paper, which you can buy pre-cut toilet paper, or you can cut your own. Like some people,
Pre-cut toilet. paper.
We stock our bathrooms with pre-cut toilet paper, correct? Some community, I mean, there's like an old Jewish custom that Jews would gather on Christmas Eve and tear all the toilet paper they'll need for the year. I kid you not. This is a authentic Jewish Christmas custom to prepare your stockpile of Shabbos toilet paper. Yeah. But we live in a time of sort of late capitalist neoliberal dystopia. We can buy pre-cut toilet paper.
Right.
That's, so I'm sorry.
Not-
Very correct. That's true. Fair enough. Okay, great. Next. Tzad, trapping an animal because you want the animal, right? So, which couldn't, would be relevant for that.
Rescuing a stray animal or like a dog that is lost.
Yeah, that's interesting. If it's a pet and it's domestic, I don't know that you're catching it, right? But yeah, so I don't know. But catching fish, catching an animal. Yeah, like you can if you catch an animal that is contained that you can just reach out and touch it and grab it is not considered catching it because it was like caught before. So like you're in you sort of lift up you have like a little hamster and a thing and just reach out and pick up the hamster. You didn't catch the hamster, it was already caught. Okay. You can have a turtle sort of walking across the lawn. You can pick up the turtle because it was like already caught. It didn't need like anything where you can sort of reach out and take it in one like outstretched arm. That's not considered trapping because it was not free to begin with. So most domestic animals, you get close enough, a pet or something, you can just pick it up. Like that's not catching the animal. If you set up a trap for it, that would be a problem. Okay, that's trapping the animal. Next, after you've caught your sheep or deer, whatever, the next step is shochet, to kill the animal. So any yeah, can't kill animals, can't stomp on spiders, can't kill animals, can't poison them either. Any type of right can't cause an injury to an animal or a person. It can't cause bleeding would be a violation, like a derivation of shochet. I think a rabbinic derivation causing bleeding. So I don't know if maybe flossing would be a problem if you're going to cause your gums to bleed. Okay. After you check the animal mafshit, you remove the skin from the animal, which doesn't have any contemporary derivation. I don't think it has any contemporary derivations. Next, you do ma'amed, which is ma'abed, sorry, tanning the leather to make it relevant for usable, the skin usable, the hide usable for leather. So any sort of use of salts or chemicals to process the substance you're going to use. So even maybe salting or spicing raw meat, perhaps, or pickling vegetables, or okay, that could brushing boots or shoes with special cream or oil to soften the leather. That's all derivative of ma'abed. So that is a few contemporary applications. Next, you have your leather. What do you do next? Then you memachik, smooth out the leather. Memachik, that's what gets to. So memachik is smoothing, rubbing an object to reduce roughness or form a shape. So that is memachik is one of the things you've done to leather to prepare it for turning it to parchment. And so that would be using a bar of soap, applying ointment that is thick, smoothing clay, sandpapering wood or material, scraping leather. Okay, that's all variations of a machek. Again, smoothing or shaping a solid object. Next, you have your hide. It's all smooth, your nice leather. Mishartate, making like lines on it or making outlines on this piece of leather. And then is mechatek. You cut the leather to the shape that is functional, the thing that you want it for. And this is the toilet paper example more, like you're cutting something to a usable shape, even though you don't want to keep the toilet paper, but in any event, but any type of trimming a quill for writing, cutting paper to a specific size, sharpening a pencil, okay, marking objects for folding, outlining for cutting, etching lines for writing. Okay, that's the original. Sorry, etching lines is mishartet. The chatech is cutting papers of size. Okay, so these are all leading up to the big final kotev and mocheg. Okay, so writing and erasing. So from capturing the animal through writing and erasing is all about like you're creating parchment for writing upon. Okay, so that's this next series of, so you have the first series leads to baking, the second series leads to writing. Writing two letters. Etching a design also is prohibited. Um, Writing in steam on your shower is a rabbinic prohibition. And then erasing for the purpose of um, preparing a surface for writing is the biblical prohibition. Because all the biblical prohibitions are creative, productive labor. Anything which is destructive is not a biblical violation. So if you erase something, you know what? That's not a biblical violation. If you erase to have a surface ready to write something new, that's the biblical violation. But we don't erase in any event. So um, there's a practice not to cut letters on a frosting on a cake, so because that's erasing the words that were on the cake. So a lot of kosher bakeries, the letters will be on a piece of plastic that you can remove from the surface of the cake before you cut it. People are careful about tearing the letters on a food wrapper. There are grounds for leniency on all these things, but just I'm sort of sharing like things that many people are strict on. I think there are the cake example and the tearing the wrapper. I think there are grounds for leniency because it's you're not it's entirely destructive. It's entirely unintended, and it's for the sake of getting to the product inside. And if you're very careful about opening up your yogurt or your ice pop or whatever candy bar, whatever it is, in a way that doesn't tear any letters, you may end up falling afoul of another malach we haven't seen yet of creating an opening, right? So maybe it's better to tear it open in a destructive way and discard the wrapper than open it in a pristine way on the seams and then run afoul of making this an opening in your container. I'm sorry?
You need candy without that.
Right, correct. Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
You have to cut it before Shabbat.
Or don't get cake with letters or cut it in a way that doesn't. Why?
Should change the shape of cake.
You're not changing the shape of cake when you cut it. That's fine. It's not changing the shape of cake. You're just cutting the cake. The changing the shape is like think about again using you're scraping leather down to remove the right. You're the bar of soap, right? You're like wiping away. You're sanding wood. But okay, that's changing the shape. When you're cutting cake, you're eating the cake. Like you're just cutting a piece. It's not okay. Like it's not like a solid that you're like that's molding or like using clay or something like that. It's not okay. Yeah.
I have a question on tearing.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you teach these lessons on in between Mincha and Ma'ariv on Shabbat, there are sometimes these printouts that I really like and I want to take home, and I fold them up and I put it in my pocket. But I've recently tried folding cardstock the other day, and I noticed it tears because I don't know whether if it's because it's so thick, but I fold it twice and there's like tearing going on. And so I'm wondering, am I allowed to fold, standard butter sized paper?
What's wrong with the paper? I understand the paper's not cardstock.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just wondering if it
Yes, it's fine.
tears potentially, like
I think I think it's a far-fetched concern. I think to like scoring the paper to prepare it for tearing, I think would be a problem. That might be mishartet, maybe I don't know, like because you're outlining the surface, you're scoring lines, you're etching lines, even through folding and putting your fingernails over, so that you'll be able to tear it later neatly in a nice way. But I think just the folding is fine. Yeah, like I wouldn't fold the cards, the cardstock is that
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so we sort of rushed through a whole bunch. We got through writing and erasing, which is sort of also obviously very relevant. Don't write, if you need to write to receive medical treatment. So if life is in danger, obviously you can do whatever you have to do, but usually your life is not. You seek medical treatment, like the writing is not saving your life. The writing is just to let them, for them to feel authorized. So it's like Yeah, so it's a little indirect, and they make you sign a lot of things. So, but you can sign with your left hand, and you can sign an X, so it's not two letters. And so, and I think that's what I'd recommend. Any, they're gonna give you things to sign, make an X, and that, or just, All right, let's pause here. I'm going to turn off the recording. Thank you for joining.